Hey, Ginger.
Hey, I'm going to step away for just a second and I'll be back. Other people.
Because of the Governor's Proclamation 2028, where he has altered the Open Public Meetings Act, allowing us to meet virtually. What we have on the agenda for tonight is a recap or an update on Ellensburg School District's COVID-19 response. And with that, I will turn that over to Ginger.
All right, well, I appreciate the opportunity for us all to be together tonight. I would really like to start by saying a huge thank you to our staff. Many people have been working behind the scenes to ensure that our buildings stay up to snuff and that they're clean and where they need to be. And there's been a lot of planning with district level as well as building level leadership to really prepare us for Monday when we all come back together virtually. So I'd like to just run us through the timeline to remind us of what the events have been at context. So back on Friday the 13th, the governor made the proclamation that our schools statewide would be closed. And then the week of March 16th through March 20th, teachers were not required to come to work, or bus drivers, or like our paraeducators, those type of personnel, because we are trading that week for the week of June 15th through the 19th. So teachers, bus drivers, paraeducators, folks that keep our schools running, they're all under special contract. And so we needed to be able to stay within those days of that contract. And so of those contracts, so we literally traded that week of March 16th through the 20th for the extra week that we will all need to participate in, which is June 15th through 19th. And June 19th is still our last official day of school from the governor. And then March 22nd through the 26th, this week has been our spring break. And we really value our teachers and our school employees, and wanted to, we didn't require them to participate in any meetings or planning or anything like that, because we wanted to honor their time off. Administrators, however, and district leaders, we have met frequently to do some important planning. So starting on Monday, the 30th and the 31st, all of our teachers, paraeducators will be back in the building. Principals, we met virtually yesterday and today, and we have plans in place to bring, each principal is going to bring their staff and their paraeducators, teachers together to talk about what is the professional development that's going to be needed so that all of our teachers know how to use Google Meet as well as Zoom with their students and with their colleagues in order to move forward with planning lessons and really promoting that continuous learning, which was definitely a mandate from OSPI and something that we know and are very passionate about. Our teachers, I know they really miss their students, and I think everybody's really eager to get back together on Monday for some planning time Monday and Tuesday. Starting on Wednesday, parents will be able to contact their school principal and arrange for a time to come by and check out a Chromebook at the elementary schools in particular. Wednesday, moving forward from Wednesday, parents could expect contact from their child's school concerning what the individual lessons will be for that week, as well as we just want to see how they're doing. We're excited to touch base with individual families and check in with them. So that kind of gives you an overview. I'd also like to mention that I have been connecting and contacting parents and staff members fairly frequently throughout this time period. March 10th, 12th, I sent letters home to parents through Blackboard. And this, if you know of anybody who is saying that they have not received any messaging from me using Blackboard, then I need to know who those parents are, and I need their name and their child's name. And we need to make sure that all of our families are connected to Blackboard, because that is our primary way in a time of emergency, as well as been the primary way that we've been communicating with our families. Another and on the 10th and 12th, communication also went out to staff. On the 15th, there was additional information that was sent out to staff. On the 17th and 18th, both of those days, 2 individual letters were also sent out to parents. And then certainly the superintendent update was sent out today around noon. So I think and those have really been efforts, team efforts, principals helping share information with me, district personnel, just to ensure that we stay connected with our parents these last couple of weeks. So that's an overview. Any questions about that? And then I can, I thought a way to organize it would be then to just talk about general instruction. And then I've got a whole list of information around high school and seniors. And then if we want to talk about special education, I think that would be like another bucket to put that information in to talk about. So that would be my suggestion for kind of condensing that information into different areas.
We do have a question from Dan. So Dan, if you take yourself off mute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We hear you and your dog.
Me and my dog, yeah. I did shut her out of the room, but she's still talking. What my concern is access for families that may not have adequate internet. I know that there were some service providers that are, or internet providers that are helping with that, but how is that going, or is that working out so far?
Well, we also not only just up with internet, but we've also sent out a text at the same time. And when we looked at the amount of feedback, because we're able to look at how many different media, whether it's the email or the phone that people are receiving through Blackboard. So if people don't have a computer or internet, they're also getting a text on their phone. And on their phone, they just click on the link and it takes them directly to the letter. So those have been the 2 primary ways. I'd also add that every letter that was sent out was also translated in Spanish and sent out both ways, both as a text and as an email as well. And to your point too, Dan, I appreciate that question. Our IT director, Mike Welch, is in the process of putting together an overall map with the help of Charter to see where exactly do we have internet service, within the Ellensburg School District boundaries, and where do we need to look at moving forward as we start talking about instruction virtually. Where do we need to set up some hotspots, whether it's doing a hotspot on a bus and driving the bus to certain areas where we know that internet service is spotty. I also think it's going to be interesting as we move forward. More and more people are using internet, and even at my house, I haven't had problems, and I live fairly close to the district office. My internet was going in and out, and I got bumped off Zoom like 3 or 4 times in different meetings I was on. So I think it'll be a time for us to all just be patient with this process too, as even the internet companies figure out how to deal with the increase of use.
And also, some of the schools sent out a tech audit forum also today that was on social media. And for both the schools that my kids attend, it was also in my email asking for information about what resources we did have at home, and also what other questions we were left with. So that was a helpful reach out from the schools.
Excuse me, I can't figure out how to raise my hand or thumb or whatever. Whoops. I can't hear anybody else.
Meg, do you have a question? Because if you do, take yourself off mute and ask that question.
Okay, well, I wanted to suggest that we cover, and I think it's all well within the agenda topic. Let's see. Apparently, I mean, WASA has been giving some guidance, including holding a webinar on Monday nights, which Ginger and I both attended, and it was useful. And at the time, they said only 2 board members could attend from any district, but they've changed that. Anybody can attend now. I have it direct from Tim Garchow. They also have a document signing program that we can use should we need to do that. And I'd also like to see us talk about, we as board members say to people who ask us what's going on, which I will kind of end up being covered, but see, that's a concern of mine.
I can move forward if you want, as far as what we're planning, a little bit more information around instruction, if you'd like to move forward with that. Is that okay, Tasha? So the Office of Public Instruction, Chris Reichtel, Superintendent Reichtel's office has been pretty much daily this last week putting out new information. So that has been really helpful to get more guidance. And so I'm just going to read something from that last memo that we got on the 23rd. Although schools are closed and are not providing traditional in-person instruction, education must continue. And then it states, our schools are the backbone of our democracy, and the structures, routines, and ongoing learning opportunities really continue to calm our families at need and during this time period. So they have given us some priorities for us to focus on as a school district, and we have been following these priorities. And they are, first of all, was to ensure the provision of school meals. And I am just so proud of Alexander Epstein-Souls, who right away, even a week before, we kind of knew there was going to probably be some kind of a closure. So she and Kelly Kronbauer, just an excellent job reaching out to Fish Food Bank and getting a process in place. So our first day when we didn't have school, which was Monday, the 16th, we were all ready to do the grab and go lunches, and actually in a sack as a breakfast and a lunch meal on the north side of Morgan Middle School. We had sent that out. I want to say that we have provided close to 200 sacks almost every day. Even on that first day, if I'm remembering the numbers correctly, it was about 150 sacks of food. And then over spring break, we worked it out with Fish Food Bank, and we put those notices in the bags as people were driving by and getting them that first week, that during this week of spring break, they just needed to go directly to the Fish Food Pantry. And if they said they had school children, Fish Food Bank was putting in child-friendly foods in there, like peanut butter and jelly and foods like that. And then, but we will be back in full swing on Monday with that grab and go service on the north side of Morgan. The second thing that they asked us to begin thinking about and putting together is the childcare. The first thing that went out was for first responders and health professionals. So we just recently put out a survey this week on how many of our healthcare providers and first responders would need that service. Chelsea Loafers, who is the health supervisor, she works in connection with community health and Kittitas Public Health Department. She is really the point person, and she had the list of all the different personnel that fell under first responder and health professionals. So I sent her the link to the survey. She sent it out. And I want to say we have close to about 60 children right now that would need that childcare. So Kelly Kronbauer, he's running point on that, and he's done a great job of getting that started. Right now, we're looking at Valley View being the location for the daycare because it's just one of the schools where we won't have people walking through, looking at the building around construction. Certainly if the number of students were to grow, we might look at, doing 2 sites instead of 1. We have a lot of protocols that we have to put in place for the daycare, and our nursing coordinator, Kate Johnson, she has been in the loop with all the different precautions we have to do, like we need to, before students can come in, we have to take their temperature, and same thing with staff members. So we're working through all of that so that when we start, we're hoping to start by Wednesday or Thursday of next week, that we're following all the necessary protocols, that we have everything that we need in place so that when those children start coming to our campus, it goes smoothly and we can provide a quality experience. Right now, we're looking at asking our paraeducators and our classified staff to run that daycare or to help take care of the students. We have to keep a ratio of 1 adult to 9 children or 2 adults to 8 children in every classroom. And we have to keep the social distancing where they have to, we can't commingle the different groups, so they have to eat at different times. They have to go out on the playground at different times with that group of 8. And we're recommending 2 adults per 8 children. We are putting all of that in place, and again, just want to have a good solid schedule and make sure all our protocols are in place before we open that up. But our goal is to try to have that service going toward the latter part of next week. Another important priority was making sure that we continued with payroll, and Kim and Brian did an amazing job working together to ensure that we actually got payroll done early, even before people were mandated to work at home. And so really kudos to the finance team and HR team for getting all the necessary paperwork in place, and especially the finance team for getting that payroll out and getting those paychecks out to all of our employees. And Brian has a system in place right now where even working from home, they're going to be able to virtually ensure that we're able to keep all the procedures in place for payroll. Another priority is really making sure that our seniors are well taken care of, and I've got a whole other group of information on that. Bo is making plans right now, Bo Snow, our principal, to make sure that when staff are back in the building, that will be the top priority, is looking through every senior's schedule, finding, they already know because they've been tracking seniors for pretty much all year, but just going back to that information, seeing what each senior needs to be able to graduate. The recommendation, and then I'll get into more of it later though, is really moving forward is to do more of a pass-fail kind of approach with work that moves forward from here on. But those will be conversations that Bo will have with the staff. So we are definitely going to take care of our seniors. Our parents are amazing. I already have had a few senior parents contact me, and really want to make sure even whatever we could even do virtually to make senior year very special for seniors. So I know that Bo and Haley Neboychek are also working and looking at that with their staff on what kind of special events could we create with seniors as well as follow the guidelines of Kittitas County Public Health and our governor. And then, of course, really continuing those learning opportunities for our families. I really see this as an opportunity. On the 17th, I sent a communication to parents about how they could access all of the different applications that their child had been using at school through what we call Clever, which is an application. It's kind of a one-time sign-on that parents can sign on through Clever, and then it just opens up all the other different apps that their child was using. And I put the directions on how to do that in the March 17th letter to parents, as well as in the FAQ that was included in my superintendent's update that went out to all parents today. We also, back on the 17th, distributed a wonderful document by a CWU professor on all the different things that parents could do with their children at home. And I just appreciate our parents so much. It's got to be a really tough time right now for parents. And boy, if they're just with their children and reading to them, and if they're interested in something, encouraging their child to research it and do drawings around it and maybe write a story about what they're interested in. The great thing about children is they're just curious by nature, and just fostering that general love for learning is also really important during this time. But as I said, starting on Wednesday, Thursday of next week, there should be more coming out from individual schools and teachers as far as more specific lessons that would be associated with their teacher in their classroom. So that's kind of a high-level look at all of the different priorities. So I will stop here, and then in a minute I'll go into more of the high school senior realm. But any questions about some of the things that I just talked about?
Dan, your hand is up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have another question. And I guess you're going to talk about some more about the seniors. I know that we have seniors that are signed up for AP tests, and one in particular that I'm acquainted with is extremely worried about her tests, and she's obviously not going to be in class, so she's not going to be properly prepped for it and all that kind of stuff. What's going on with the AP tests right now? Do we know?
So Dan, I can answer that one question, or if I can just table that for a minute. I have some real specific information on that when I was in high school.
That's fine.
Okay, all right.
Did anyone else have any other questions about the continuous learning or the learning going forward? Yeah.
All right. Well, let me talk about the seniors, and we can always go back to if you have other questions that you think of. So we got some really good guidance from OSPI on March 20th in a bulletin on what we need to do with seniors, and it really made it clear that that should be a top priority, which I think seniors are always a top priority, even before they're seniors. And I know that our team has done a really good job, even before school closures, in tracking students who are on track to graduate and really putting supports in place for students who are struggling to be on track to graduate. But certainly some of the analysis that counselors and principals will be doing is really looking what are the credit requirements. Seniors still have to complete a high school and beyond plan. So we're going to look at, that's something that counselors will look into. How many seniors have completed that? Where are they at with it? What kind of supports do we need to put in place? Looking at credits, we also are going to try our very best to provide multiple opportunities for seniors to demonstrate their understanding of content. CTE, same thing, really working with them. It's challenging, of course, if the CTE class is welding, for example, but our teachers are super passionate about supporting our seniors in graduating, and in talking with Shannon Panettone, for example, our CTE coordinator. She's confident that working together with our CTE teachers will find some creative ways to still have them meet those standards and get their high school credit. There are credit waiver options available. The State Board of Education is meeting this week about that. I had a chance to talk a little bit with Mary Fitarkis, and she's on the state board. Basically, I think the bottom line with waivers is they're still asking high schools to do absolutely everything we know possible to support students and getting the credits that they need. But certainly if a student still ends up being short, we do have that option of applying for a credit waiver. The AP information. So right now, if a student gets a C+ or higher in an approved English or math AP class, it satisfies that graduation pathway requirement. And for advanced placement, the College Board, and this might be something, Dan, to let this student know, although I anticipate, I know our AP teachers, they are chomping at the bit to be able to re-engage with students this week. So I would imagine every AP class is going to be contacted by their AP teacher to get them on track. But certainly the AP, the College Board has made some adjustments, I think, in the testing dates, as well as being able to test online. I have here that the College Board has developed a one-page resource. So if our families or students want to go to the College Board website, they've got a lot of good resources on there. And actually, it even says videos will be posted on the College Board AP YouTube channel for some extra tutoring if students want that. But with students engaging with their teachers again next week, and with some of those testing dates, I believe they were pushed back a little, and they're on, there's some online opportunities. I think everybody's really pulling together, including the College Board, to support any student who's taking an AP class, knowing that this is really unprecedented times. We haven't really experienced something like this in a long time. So I'm encouraged that they are considering our circumstances.
Does anyone have any other questions or need for clarification on support for seniors? Okay.
I think it's, you know,
Oh, sorry.
oh no, you go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, I raised my hand. I don't think Tasha saw that. So just couple of questions on the senior requirements. So the College and Beyond plan requires the students to shadow a job. For kids who haven't gotten around to doing that, I'm assuming that we're going to somehow have to waive that or come up with an alternative, because don't really think anybody is going to invite them to come shadow. And the other one is the volunteer requirements. And even that, you know, I guess they could potentially do some online volunteering, but you know, I think a lot of kids procrastinate and put that off to the end. How are we going to handle those?
Yeah, I appreciate that. What I've seen in the guidance from OSBI is a lot of latitude for us locally. So certainly it makes sense that if people haven't had those, if students haven't had those opportunities, I'm sure that counselors and the high school staff will work together with them to find other ways to meet those requirements. I know I just was on a site, and I believe it's posted on the public instruction site for resources. There's a lot of opportunities for like virtual field trips and connecting with people in other careers. So those would be some resources we could use too, I think, to give students a similar experience since they're not able to do the job shadow or like the volunteer at this time. And certainly I was putting in a plug for Fish Food Bank. You know, if, I don't know, you know, if they're able to drive by and donate a sack full of canned foods or following all the necessary protocols, I know Fish Food Bank is still very much in need of support.
Yeah, and Ginger, you referenced a document from OSPI that's available on there for all families. Did you want me to share that screen so everyone can see that?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
I'm not sure what's going to look like on your guys' end this second. So this is the OSPI website, and it's their resources for continuous learning. And that's broken down by grade band levels and content area. There are a lot of opportunities that they've highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's publicly available for anyone. This is also, board members, you're probably doing the same thing, but this is also the website that I'm having up because all of those, it seems like hourly updates and guidance is coming out all the time. So that's, that one has been open quite a bit here. But Ginger, would you recommend families also going to look at that?
Absolutely. And I think this will end up being a really good resource page for our teachers as well.
Did anyone have any other questions about that? And board members, I can put this in the chat box too, so that this link is there. I'm not sure everyone else who's logged in, I'm not sure what that's going to look like on your end if you're going to get that, but I'll put that in the chat box so that you have that OSPI link.
So I think one other area I think to touch on is our students who are individual education plans, or students who receive special education services. And Patty Kimmel has just done an amazing job of really looking at every student that we have. She sent a letter out in the mail to all of our students who are on individual education plans. And she'll be meeting with caseworkers Monday and Tuesday to really figure out what are the needs of all of our students. Where is it that we could serve their educational needs while they're at home? So for example, if they are not able to access learning online, we could put together some paper packets for them to do. There's teletherapy, there's, you know, just some different, and actually on the public instruction website, there is a really good, it's in this March 20th bulletin. There's some really good ideas there, support for virtual learning, inclusionary practices, and some ideas there for educators on, you know, what are the different ways that we can serve our students, you know, especially students who might be in our life skills program or our autism program, our students in the connections program, and our second language learners too. We really are in the process of looking at every student and ensuring working together, especially when teachers are all back together virtually on Monday, looking at the students in their schools and saying we have to ensure that every student is getting access to these learning opportunities.
Does anyone have any questions, concerns, or would they like to raise their hand? Dan, I see your hand.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering about special ed and how we might be doing that. I don't know.
So Dan, that's what I just kind of went over, but so with special ed, Patty just sent out a letter to all of our parents in the mail. She is going to work together with caseworkers because each caseworker has their own group of students that they work with. And by meeting with each of them, then we're going to ask the caseworkers to look at the different individual students and say, okay, what are their needs? How many of them could access learning by use of technology or the computer or the Chromebooks, and where is it necessary for us to use a different method, which could include making paper packets. What we're not able to do is actually, go into somebody's home and serve a student that way under the current restrictions. So hopefully that answered your question.
And I want to say to the public that's joining us, I do see that some of your hands are raised. Due to the Open Public Meetings Act and the Governor's Proclamation, we can't take public comment at this time. But so I can't call on you if your hand's raised. I'm sorry. But what you can do is go to our Ellensburg School District website, and you can send an email to the board with what you would like to share. Sorry, just at this meeting and the way that the proclamation is, we can't have public comments at this time. So does any member of the board have any questions or clarifications surrounding serving of our special education identified students? Okay. Ginger, did you have another thing on the list? Sorry, I was trying to follow the list as I was going down.
Yeah, I've gone through the different groups of information or buckets of information that I have. Just want to say we really have a committed staff, and teachers are eager to get back together virtually with students and check in with them. And I'm looking forward to us being back together, even if it's in a virtual world next week.
Can I get clarification on, and this one I think you're probably going to have to seek out more information, so don't feel like you have to give it to me now. When we're talking about the schools providing childcare, that is under a strictly defined mandate from the governor.
Yep.
Correct?
Yes, and I think the intent of it was to really, because schools closed, students that would have been in school are now at home. And so the only preschool services that we had provided before the closure was at CWU, and it was our developmental preschool. And so we never had preschool services here on our campus other than CWU, and CWU is closed. So we are offering childcare right now to our health professionals and first responders, kindergarten through 6th grade.
And when the district administration and staff started working on this, there was outside departments that were helping with this, correct? Like we went out, the district went out and asked for clarification and how we fall into that definition.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of good guidance from OSPI and also from ESD 105 and their nurses in particular, just to make sure that we're following all the necessary guidelines.
I appreciate that. I know that's something that lots of community members and lots of board members too, when we join those WASDA conference calls, lots of board members across the state were looking for clarification on that too. Does anyone else on the board have any questions about the response to COVID-19?
I just want to say that I think what you've told us, Ginger, does satisfy my question about the kinds of things to tell the public if anybody asks, and I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. And, feel free to print the superintendent update too, because I really tried to put everything in there. And the FAQ, if you click on that, you can print the FAQ sheet, and shout out to Michelle Bibbett. She started to put that together for the middle school. So then I took that and added thought of the questions that I've been getting and more formatted it for any adult to look at. And so that could also help you, because there's questions on there and responses. And I would say you could really help me out as board members, that if you look at that FAQ sheet and you start to hear another question that is being asked on Facebook or in the community, to let me know. And that would be true for anybody who's listening right now to the board meeting, that you know, if there's still a question that is unanswered, that wasn't answered in the superintendent update or the FAQ sheet, please just send it to me. And, you know, at the bottom of every letter, I encourage people to contact me directly, and have really appreciated several parents did contact me, and I was able to have a dialogue with them, especially if they asked me a question. So just really appreciate that support.
Again, I would point out that WASDA has some general communication guidelines as well.
Yeah, I was on the WASDA website the other day. I thought, yeah, that's some great resources. I appreciate you pointing that out.
Jennifer, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just had one other question. What is this going to do to the new school projects? I mean, I know that they've put a hold on most construction projects as well, but where were we when everything came to a halt? Do you have any sense of where we're, you know, what's going to happen?
Well, fortunately, our bond projects are moving forward. I'm gonna let Brian give you an update here, but I was on a webinar with Superintendent Reichtel, a statewide one, and I jumped right in with that question and said, oh, you know, what about our bond projects? Now people are hearing that they can't move forward with it. And I heard it straight from him, you know, that there was a proclamation that the governor had put out that for school bond projects, it was perfectly fine for the construction crews to move forward with bond projects for schools. And then today, Kittitas County Public Health, Casey Knudsen put something out, and I didn't see, you know, school bond projects in there. So I sent her an email right away and said, you know, the governor had said it was okay for bond projects, just checking in with you. And she sent me something back right away, and she says, yes, we don't have a problem with that at all. So just really want to do a shout out to Kittitas Public Health, Kittitas County Public Health, and Dr. Larson and Casey Knudsen and Tristan Lamb. They have just been truly amazing to work with. They've supported us every step of the way in this. And so if anybody who's listening or board members, if you see them, please just a special thank you to them. They have just been valuable in walking us through this real unprecedented time. Brian, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, you did a nice summing that up. I don't know that I can add other than to say that we are moving forward as best we can. The new school and the new Mount Stewart School are moving forward, and Lincoln is moving forward as well. We are ready to make a recommendation to the school board to select our contractor. That'll be done in our next board meeting. So that building is moving forward as a design build. And then I will also tell you that the first two buildings that are both GCCM builds, we were able to negotiate with Garco, who is our contractor, and we are right on target, right on budget with those two school buildings. And that was the way the GCCM process was designed. There should be no surprises when it comes to the time of actually negotiating the final fees and the final costs, and everything is within budget. And so a big shout out to Damon Gardella and Garco and Integris Architecture and everybody. They've been a great team, and we're moving forward as best we can. And a big shout out to the city too. They're all working from home, and they're doing their best to accommodate us. And most recently, we asked them for an early site approval so we could begin moving dirt at Mount Stewart and things like that. So it's all good news on the construction front. So. Any questions?
And did anyone have any further questions about construction or the bond? Thank you, Brian, for that update.
Thanks.
Did anyone have any further questions or clarification in general? Ginger, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Great.
I just want to give a shout out to Ginger and Brian and Matthew and Kim and Kelly. Those are only some of the admins that are on the line right now, but all of the district staff, teachers, our janitorial staff, everyone has been working so incredibly hard during this constant, ever-changing time, just trying to balance continuing education, supporting our community with food, really working with outside entities to make sure that we are serving all children in our community. And this has just been rapidly changing. I mean, every single hour there's been something new. I was looking back on our last time when we met and we were just sort of like, should we socially distance on top of the stage, right? That was the beginning of March and here's the 26th. And I don't know where Meg's going that she's getting all these questions, but I'm gonna have to hang out with Meg. She's got a lot of people talking to her. It's just me in my house quarantined with my kids. We really appreciate all of that work that everybody is doing. And as a parent, I appreciate the way the district and the teaching staff especially are moving forward and supporting everyone. And I shared this with Ginger earlier. I like that we are moving slow to be strong. Parents in our school district did not wake up on Monday as a homeschool parent. We are not homeschool parents. Right now we are parenting and supporting our kids during a public health crisis. And that is very different than the mindset of a homeschool parent. So I appreciate the support. I appreciate the distance and just letting us sort this out right now and making sure that the kids are okay and the teachers are okay and the parents are okay. And the kids are resilient and the teachers are gonna help and there will be an end to COVID-19 somehow. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tasha.
Did anyone else want to say anything for the good of the order? I see Jason shaking his head. He refuses to raise his hand.
I'll jump in and just say once again, I second what Tasha said, but I thank you to all of the teachers, all of the staff, all of the administration. This is, as you said, unprecedented. I mean, we were all kind of laughing about, whether we needed to worry about touching our faces at the last meeting. Here we are a couple of weeks later. It's been really hard too because, and I appreciate and thank Ginger for the work that she's done because, she hasn't been able to rely on us with all of the public meeting laws. It's taken time for us to even be able to function as a board again, which is not ideal and it's really hard. But, we needed, we needed the organization, we needed the system to change. I mean, just like with the special ed, where we want to support all of our kids, but what that looks, we can't do things the same way we did. And sometimes we can't, if we have to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, it makes it impossible. And clearly trying to do a public meeting in a situation where we're all being called on to stay home, and yet the meeting law says we have to meet in person is extremely problematic. So anyhow, but thank you, and as Tasha said, that request everybody to give us some patience as we figure this all out, but know that we're trying.
Yeah.
All right, without any further questions or clarification, do we, in this special meeting, have a move? Does someone make a motion for adjournment?
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Oh, look at that. Jason took himself off mute. Yay.
Thank you.
So Jennifer has moved and Jason has seconded for adjournment. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us for our first virtual meeting. That went okay. So no Zoom moments. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Tasha.
Bye.
Bye.